Welcome. Today we're going to walk through how to use GALIS data to monitor teacher performance and provide differentiated coaching based on what the data tells us. This is a critical skill for instructional leaders because data helps us identify which teachers need support, determine what kind of support they need, track progress over time, and celebrate successes. Let's get started. Why does data matter for instructional leaders? Well, as instructional leaders, we can't be in every classroom every day. Data helps us understand what's happening across our entire program. Data removes guesswork. Instead of assuming a teacher is struggling, we can see concrete evidence in their MSG rates, post-test completion, or retention numbers. It allows us to be proactive. We can identify issues before they become major problems. If we see a teacher's MSG rate dropping in October, we can intervene immediately rather than waiting until end of year data. Data helps us differentiate coaching. Not every teacher needs the same support. One teacher might need help with post-testing procedures, while another needs support with student retention. Data tells us which is which. Data helps provide objective evidence. When we sit down with a teacher, we're not saying, I think you need help with X. Rather, we're saying, your data shows students aren't making gains. Let's figure out why together. Data helps track growth over time. We can celebrate when a teacher's performance improves and adjust our support if it doesn't. The bottom line, good data use makes us better coaches and helps our teachers be more effective. There are many reports in GALIS, but these 5 are your essential toolkit for monitoring teacher performance. Let me walk through each one. Report AEL 0334 is MSG by instructor, CRN, and student. This is your go-to report. This shows you each instructor's MSG performance and lets you drill down by class and individual student. You'll use this report most frequently to monitor overall teacher performance. Report AEL 0214 is your MSG by instructor, EFL, and student report. This is similar to 0334, but organized by educational functioning level. Use this when you want to see if a teacher is struggling with a particular level. Maybe they're great with ABE level 3, but struggling with level 1 students. Report AEL 0011 is your student attendance by instructor report. This shows you enrollment numbers, attendance hours, and last date of attendance by teacher. Use this to monitor retention. If you see a lot of students with only 1 to 2 hours of attendance, that's a retention issue to address. Report AEL 0191 is your post-test tracker by instructor report. This shows students who may be ready to post-test based on their hours. Use this to coach teachers on post-testing procedures and ensure students aren't sitting at 60+ hours without a post-test. Report AEL 0215, that's your post-tested participants by instructor report. This shows you what percentage of teachers' students are getting post-tested. Low post-test rates might indicate teachers need support with testing procedures or timing. These reports are all in the local level, NRS reports, or miscellaneous folders in GALIS. Now, let's talk about how to interpret what you see in these reports. Let's talk about interpreting MSG performance. When you pull report AEL 0334 or AEL 0214, you'll see each teacher's MSG rate. Here's how to interpret what you're seeing. The state expectation is that at least 60% of MSG rates, depending on what the level is. So, for instance, Georgia's negotiated performance level is 60%. This is our baseline expectation for all programs and teachers. So a green flag would be, If you have a teacher with 70% or higher, this teacher is exceeding expectations. Students are making measurable gains at a high rate. Your role here is to celebrate their success, understand what they're doing well, and potentially have them share strategies with other teachers. A yellow flag would be 50 to 59%. This teacher is close to the target but not quite there. They need monitoring and targeted support. The good news is they're not far off. Often small adjustments can make a big difference. This might be a post-testing timing issue, a standards alignment issue, or instructional strategies that need refining. A red flag are those below 50%. This requires immediate attention. Something significant is not working. This could be instructional quality issues, post-testing not happening at all, students not attending enough hours, data entry errors. Check that first. Teachers need intensive coaching on standards-based instruction. It's important to note, don't just look at the overall percentage. Drill down into the data. Click on the teacher's name to see individual students. Are there patterns? Are certain EFLs performing worse? Are students not getting post-tested? Also consider context. A brand new teacher in their first month will likely have lower MSG rates than a veteran teacher. Your coaching approach should account for experience level. Retention and attendance. MSG rates tell us about student learning gains, but retention data tells us if students are even staying in the program long enough to make gains. Report AEL0011 is your key tool here. When you run this report by instructor, ask yourself these questions. Number 1, how many students have less than 12 hours? If a teacher has 30 enrolled students, but only 15 have reached 12 hours, that's a retention problem. Students are enrolling but not sticking around. This might indicate weak classroom environment or student relationships, class schedule doesn't work for students, instruction isn't engaging, or students aren't seeing value. The next question you should ask is how many students haven't attended in 30 plus days? The report shows last day of attendance. If you see many students whose last attendance was 30, 60, or 90 days ago, the teacher may not be following up with absent students. This is a coaching opportunity about student engagement and follow-up procedures. The next question is, what's the average hours per student? Calculate this yourself. Total hours divided by number of students. If a teacher A has students averaging 40 hours, but teacher B's students average only 8 hours, teacher B has a retention issue. Are students stuck at certain hour levels? Sometimes you'll see many students hovering around 12 to 15 hours or 30 to 35 hours. They hit MSG but then disappear. This might indicate they're only coming for what they need, for example, MSG for benefits, rather than staying for comprehensive learning. Address this through goal setting and engagement strategies. The next question, compare retention across teachers. What does it look like? If one teacher consistently retains students better than others, find out what they're doing right and share it. Maybe they have a strong classroom community. Maybe they're better at following up with absent students. Maybe their schedule works better. Learn from your high performers. Let's look at post-testing rates. Post-testing is how students achieve MSG through EFL gains. So monitoring post-testing rates is critical. Report AEL0191. That's your post-test tracker, and it shows you students who may be ready to post-test based on hours. Report AEL0215. Remember, that's your post-tested participants, and it shows you what percentage actually got post-tested. Red flags to watch for. Students with 60 plus hours and no post-test. This is a major issue. Students should typically post-test between 40 to 60 hours. If students have 60, 70, 80 plus hours with no post-test, either the teacher doesn't understand post-testing procedures, the teacher is waiting too long, students aren't attending consistently enough to test, or testing access or logistic issues may be prominent. Look at post-testing rates below 40%. If only 30 to 40% of a teacher's NRS students are getting post-tested, investigate why. Are students dropping out before they can test? Is the teacher unclear on when to test? Are there testing access issues? Look for students post-testing too early. While rare, sometimes you'll see students post-tested at 12 to 20 hours. Unless they've transitioned to post-secondary, which counts as MSG, this is too early. Students need adequate instructional time to make gains. Also look for gaps between pre-test and post-test dates. If a student pre-tested in July and didn't post-test until May with only 40 hours, something's wrong. Either attendance is sporadic or the teacher isn't monitoring testing windows. Another red flag to look for, teachers not using the post-test tracker. Report AEL 0191 is a tool for teachers. If a teacher tells you they don't know when students are ready to test, teach them to run this report monthly. It tells them exactly which students have the hours. When you see post-testing issues, your coaching needs to address, number 1, understanding of test windows and readiness indicators. Number 2, scheduling and logistics of testing. Number 3, student attendance patterns that affect testing. And number 4, using data tools like the tracker. Using data in coaching conversations. Data is powerful, but how you use it in coaching conversations matters. Follow this framework. Step 1, show the data. Don't start with, "You're not doing well," or "I'm concerned about your performance." Start with the objective. For instance, I pull your MSG report for this quarter. You're currently at 45% MSG rate with 20 NRS students. Our target is 60%. Let's look at this together. Notice there's no judgment, just facts. You're showing them the same data you're looking at. Step 2, ask, don't tell. Resist the urge to immediately diagnose the problem. Ask the teacher what they see. For instance, what do you notice when you look at these numbers? What might be contributing to this? When you drill down into individual students, what patterns do you see? This approach respects the teacher's professional judgment, helps them develop their own data literacy skills. Often, they'll identify the issue themselves, which leads to more buy-in. Step 3 is to problem solve together. Once you've identified the issue, brainstorm solutions collaboratively. What do you think might help? What have you tried already? What support would be helpful? Would you like to observe another teacher who's having success with this? You can certainly offer suggestions, but frame them as options, not mandates. Step 4, set specific goals. Vague goals don't work, such as improve your MSG rate. It's too general. Instead, say, let's aim to get your MSG rate to 55% by the end of next month. That means 11 of your 20 NRS students need to achieve MSG. Let's identify which students are closest and create a plan for post-testing. Specific and measurable. Step 5 is follow-up. Schedule a specific follow-up date. Let's meet again in 3 weeks. I'll pull your updated data and we'll see how the strategies we discussed are working. Following up shows you're invested in their success and holds both of you accountable. It's important to note, keep these conversations supportive and not evaluative. Your tone should be, "We're in this together," not "You're failing." Now here's a real scenario. Let's pull this all together in this real scenario. I'm going to walk you through exactly what you do when you notice concerning data for one of your teachers. This scenario is based on common situations ILs encounter. Here's a scenario. Meet teacher Maria. You run report AEL0334, which is your MSG by instructor report, and you see teacher Maria's data. She's teaching an ABE Level 2 evening class, so we're talking about adult learners working on basic skills, probably many working during the day. She has good enrollment, 25 students enrolled, and 18 have reached 12 hours to become NRS students. That's 72% retention to NRS status, which is actually pretty good. But her MSG rate is 44%. That's below our 60% target. Only 8 of her 18 NRS students have achieved MSG. You drill down and see her post-testing rate is only 35%, meaning only about 6 students have been post-tested out of 18 NRS students. Her students are averaging 28 hours, which is reasonable. But here's the red flag. 5 students have 50 plus hours and still no post-test. These students have more than enough hours. They should have been tested long ago. So what's going on here? Let's analyze. Let's break down what this data tells us. Strengths to recognize. Maria is good at building relationships and getting students to attend. 72% of her enrolled students made it to NRS status. That's solid. Many teachers struggle to get students to 12 hours, but Maria's students are showing up. Her average hours are reasonable at 28. Students aren't dropping out after a few classes. They're sticking around. The issues. The problem isn't student engagement or retention. It's post-testing. Only 35% of her NRS students have been post-tested. For comparison, you'd want to see 60 to 70% of NRS students post-tested. And critically, 5 students have over 50 hours and no post-test. These students have been attending for months. They should have been tested long ago. Likely causes are: this pattern strongly suggests that Maria doesn't fully understand when students should be post-tested. She might think students need to master everything before testing, or she might be unclear about the 40 to 60 hour testing window. There could also be logistical issues. Maybe testing access is limited in evening classes. Maybe the testing coordinator's hours don't align with her class schedule. This is a coaching opportunity, not a performance problem. Maria has strengths. We need to address a specific skill gap. Now, let's see how you'd approach the coaching conversation. Here's how this conversation might go. Notice I'm using the framework we discussed. You start with data, not judgment. Maria, I pull your MSG data. You're at 44% right now. Let's look at it together. So you're being direct without being accusatory. You're inviting her to look at the data with you. You ask, don't tell. What do you notice when you see these numbers? This gives Maria a chance to reflect. She might immediately identify the post-testing issue herself. Maria responds, I know my MSG rate is low. I'm not sure why. My students are doing well in class. Good. She's aware of the MSG rate, but hasn't connected it to post-testing yet. So you dig deeper with specific data. I noticed you have 5 students with over 50 hours who haven't post-tested yet. Tell me about that. So now you're pointing to the specific issue, not you're not post-testing enough. But tell me about these specific students. Maria reveals the real issue. I want to make sure they're really ready. I don't want them to fail the test. Aha! Now we know the problem. Maria has good intentions. She cares about her students, but she has a misconception about when to test. So now you're going to educate and solve together. I understand that, but students typically post-test around 40 to 60 hours. Waiting too long actually hurts MSG rates. Let's identify these 5 students and schedule their post-test this month. You're validating her concern while correcting the misconception. You're moving to a concrete action plan. Maria agrees. Okay, I can do that. I didn't realize there was a window. Perfect. She's receptive because you approached it as a collaborative problem solving, not criticism. Now you set a specific goal. Great. Let's aim to get these 5 students post-tested in the next 3 weeks. That should bring your MSG rate up to around 60%. I'll also send you the post-test tracker report. Run it monthly so you can see who's approaching testing readiness. Let's check in again in 3 weeks to see your updated numbers. So you were specific, measurable, time-bound, and you've given her a tool, the tracker, to prevent this issue going forward. This is effective data-based coaching. Let's talk about differentiated coaching. The beauty of this data is it tells you what kind of coaching each teacher needs. Here are common data patterns and what they indicate. Low MSG plus low post-testing. Like our Maria scenario, this issue is testing procedures, not instruction. So you coach on when to post-test, which is that 40 to 60 hour window, how to use the post-test tracker, testing logistics and scheduling, and balancing readiness with testing window. Low MSG plus good post-testing. This teacher is testing on schedule, but students still aren't making gains. This is an instructional quality issue. So coach on standards-based lesson planning, active learning strategies, checking for understanding, differentiation, quality instruction rubric measures. This teacher needs observation and instructional support, not testing support. Low retention, many students under 12 hours. Students are enrolling but not sticking around. Coach on building classroom community, engagement strategies, follow up with absent students, making instruction relevant to adult learners, and first week procedures that hook students. You have high hours and no MSG. Students are attending consistently 30, 40, 50 plus hours, but not making gains. There may be 2 problem issues. Number 1, students might be placed in the wrong EFL level. It's too high or too low. Or number 2, instructional quality issue. Students are showing up, but are not learning. So coach on proper placement procedures and instructional strategies. Do you have inconsistent performance across EFLs? Report AEL 0214 shows you performance by EFL level. If a teacher has great MSG rates and level 3 students, but poor rates with level 1 students, they need support with differentiation strategies, meeting diverse learner needs, and instructional strategies for beginning learner versus advanced learners. The key is to let the data tell you what kind of support each teacher needs, then tailor your coaching accordingly. Don't give everyone the same generic advice. Let's wrap up with some concrete action steps you can take this week. Step 1, pull report AEL 0334 by going into GALIS, navigate to local level, then to NRS reports, and run report AEL 0334, the MSG by instructor. Run it for the current fiscal year. This gives you the big picture of teacher performance. Step 2, identify high and low performers. Look at each teacher's MSG rate. Who's excelling? Who needs support? Make a list. Step 3 is your drill down. Click on teachers who have concerning data. Look at their individual students. What patterns do you see? Are they not post-testing? Do they have retention issues? Are certain EFL levels performing worse? Step 4, schedule coaching conversations. Don't wait. Schedule 30-minute meetings with teachers who need support. Come to the meeting with the data printed out so you can look at it together. Step 5, set specific goals. Use the coaching framework we discussed. Set specific measurable goals, not improve your MSG rate, but get 5 more students post-tested by X date. Step 6. Follow-up. Mark your calendar for 2 to 3 weeks out. Pull the data again and see if the strategies are working. If they are, celebrate. If not, adjust your approach. Remember, data is a tool for support, not punishment. Your goal is to help teachers succeed, and data shows you exactly how to do that. Before we close, here are your key resources. GALIS Report User Guide. This is your reference document for all available reports. It's available right in GALIS, or you can request a copy from research@tcsg.edu. Keep this handy. If you need help, contact your assigned GPSC. If you have questions about how to interpret data, coaching strategies, and what to do about specific teacher situations. Contact research@tcsg.edu if you have questions about which report to use, how to run a report, data definitions or calculations, or report request. You can contact Jackson Liddy at jlilly@tcsg.edu for custom and ad hoc data request or special analysis. You are not alone in this work. Use your support team. Thank you for investing time in learning how to use data to support your teachers. This skill set will make you a more effective instructional leader.